evening. Welcome to Living Arts. I'm your host, Jackie Suarez. Thank you for tuning in. Tonight we're going to be talking to the Joe Duraes Band, and I'm very pleased to introduce you to Chris Perna, who plays the drums. We have Steve Geller, which is lead guitar.
Bass.
Mr. Joe Duraes, and Rodman del Castillo, who is the lead guitar, right?
Yes.
So guys, thank you for coming to the show. I appreciate you guys coming through.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
You played a little and got everybody really excited to see you locally, at various events and stuff. I was actually familiar with your music through Kevin Winterfield.
Yes.
So he was on the show and he kind of gave me your CD, so I've been listening to that for a while.
Kevin's a great guy. He's a gentleman and
A scholar.
He really is, and he's really into supporting the local arts in Peekskill and supporting all the different musicians and artists and photographers and everything that Peekskill has to offer. And so he's a great guy. So we're happy to have him as a supporter.
Absolutely, he speaks very highly of you. So why don't we give our audience first a little introduction into the band. So who do we have here with us? Rodman, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Originally born in Jamaica, Queens. Started playing jazz and R&B when I was a little guy, and then I heard Aerosmith on the radio, and my life was changed forever. And I asked my mom to go out and buy me a Les Paul, and she did, and I've been rocking ever since. And I did a lot of local rock bands, and then started touring with some hardcore metal bands and stuff like that.
Oh, really? Like who?
Planet Hate. We were signed to Energy Records, and it was pretty hardcore. We did a lot of good stuff, a lot of touring around the U.S., and then I got picked up to do a tour with Tina Turner in 2000, and that was great. A lot of fun, good money.
Yeah.
A lot of good people I met and made some connections, and
Now he's in the Poe House.
did some
Now
stuff.
he's in the Poe.
Did some stuff in Europe, and then I came back and was on Long Island for a while, and I found Joe, and Joe found me, and it's been bliss ever since.
Okay, so do you live locally?
I live in Long Island, Hempstead, Long Island right now.
Oh, okay, so you're still living out there.
I'm still back and forth and commuting and loving every minute of it.
Okay, so when did you guys meet exactly? How many years ago?
More like how many months ago?
Yeah, it was
Oh,
long ago.
okay.
I assembled this band earlier this year.
Oh, okay, so when you pulled this album out, Ebb and Flow,
Ebb and
it wasn't-
Flow was released in November of 2013, so it'll be a year this November.
Okay.
And right around January, I started just looking for a band, and started with Chris. And a week later, we met Steve, and about 2 months later, it took a long time to find Rodman.
Oh, okay.
So you joined us like May or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And so, but we've been together since March, and so yeah, it's only been a few months.
Okay, because you guys have a lot of, I guess a good vibe or a lot of energy between you all.
Yep.
So I
Drink a
thought
lot.
you'd love, you knew each other for a long time.
Yeah.
So when did Chris join? You were the first band member, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. This band is completely assembled through Craigslist.
Yes.
Get out of here.
Joe put an ad out for musicians. I got the ad from a friend of mine. Said, "Hey, check this band out." I hadn't played in about 3 or 4 years. I drummed for a long time. Started when I was about 10. Started like marching bands and things like that. And I started playing in rock bands in my 20s. And then I took some time off to start a new career. And I wanted to get back into drumming again. And my friend said, "Hey, check this ad out." And I listened to the music and I thought it was great. I called him up or sent him an email, and a couple of weeks later, we were in a rehearsal studio, just Joe and I. And at the end of that, he said, "Hey, I want you to be in the band." And we auditioned Steve the next week, and
We started as the White Stripes.
yeah.
And then we became Rush after that.
Yep,
And
it
now,
was,
now we're, I don't know what we are. We're
complete.
We're the biggest band in Peekskill right now. They just don't know it yet.
I
Not
think
yet.
everybody knows it. I think everybody knows it. So Geller, how did you come to find these guys? I find it amazing that you did all of this on Craigslist.
That's how it happened. I'd come off 5 years on the road, and I was done. I just needed to sleep for a
Good
month.
10 years.
Yeah. And so I was just looking for something to occupy my time, basically. And so I answered this ad, and I didn't know I was going to fall in love with it. So it just, from the first rehearsal, it was like, oh, this is really good. I'm screwed. I don't know what I'm going to do now.
So what were you doing prior to meeting up with these guys?
Well, I was in a blues band, a traveling blues band. Before that, I was with, you may remember the Monkees. I was with Davy Jones of the Monkees for a while. I've just worked with a lot of guys. I've worked with Mick Taylor of the Stones. I worked with Taylor Dane a little bit. Buckethead, the metal guy, and just a whole list of people I've gotten. Actually, I worked with Pete Best, who was the original drummer of the Beatles.
Okay.
Which, to a guy of my generation, I'm the old guy in the band, a guy of my generation was like Mecca. It was like the greatest thing that could happen.
So very nice. So then all the material for Ebb and Flow had already been written and produced in the studio. So
That's
tell
right.
me a little bit about that.
Sure. I started working on the album about 5 years ago, and I was recording everything at home, very similar to Kevin Winterfield. I was doing a lot of stuff from home, so I was doing the home recording thing, and I thought that the songs could sound better in a real studio, going to more professional producers and musicians that can just enhance everything that I had written from home. So I started recording the album with a local musician, Fred Gillen Jr., who you may have heard of.
Yeah,
And,
he was actually one of my first guests on this show.
He's
awesome.
He's just the poster child of Peekskill music. You know, he's been doing it for a while. You know,
Right.
he's
One way or another, it's like 3 to a couple degrees
absolutely
of separation.
Yeah, he's kind of like Kevin Bacon, right?
Exactly, the Kevin Bacon gang.
Hey Fred, I think I just called you Kevin Bacon. But we started with one song, which was "Love Can Rule the World." That was the first song we recorded for the album.
It's cold, it's hard, come through my heart. It's aching me that I can't see. Are you looking for a shining star? Well, here I am. This is where I stand. There's something going on, anything at all. Is there anyone home? Once in my life, I did what was right. Come play my soul like an old trombone. It ebbs and flows, it comes and goes. It's right and it's real. This is how it feels. Something going on, anything at all. Is there anyone home? Don't understand when others fall. I don't understand when others fall. They don't pick themselves up and carry on. Something going on. Anything at all. Is there anyone
And I took those recordings, which we had brought in a few musicians locally, Eric Puente on the drums, Fred played bass,
Paul.
and Paul Silverman, who is from the Yayas recently with the Yayas, he played piano on that song. So I took all those files and I took it to another studio in Virginia. A buddy of mine had recommended a producer down there in Charlottesville, and so he basically finished that song, and then we recorded 3 more songs after that.
Okay.
So we did 4 songs down there. Hudson River, which is another song we performed here tonight, I recorded in Virginia. So it's weird, I recorded a song about the Hudson River down in the Blue Ridge Mountains. So I need to write a song about the Blue Ridge Mountains and record up here what I'm saying.
Yes, too.
So we did those first 4 songs, and I wanted to record closer to home because it was just easier, and
than going to
timing and
Virginia.
calendars and all that. So I met Kevin Hupp, who is a producer based out of Brewster, New York, and he and I finished the album with 6 songs. So we did a total of 10 songs on the album, and he hired, pretty much assembled a great bunch of musicians. Alex Salzman, who is Ace Frehley's right-hand guy, he's recorded on his last 2 albums. And a bunch of other people, ranging from Nashville musicians to local people. So the album was assembled in a matter of 4 years and released it last November. And I wanted to bring a band together because I was doing this. I was really playing all these songs solo for about 4 or 5 years. And Peekskill Coffee House was my home base. In fact, they get a very big acknowledgement in the album, and there's a photo of the motif of the front of the Peekskill Coffee House in the album. So they were very, very generous and very kind to me for all those years, so I had to include them in the album. And the CD release party was there. I did have a band assembled, not these guys, but I had a couple of buddies of mine kind of fill in. And I just wanted to take those songs that I started in my house and just take it out to the world, and this is what we're trying to do right now.
So what instruments do you play other than the guitar?
I play guitar and I play some bass, but I don't play bass in the band.
That's good.
I could never hold a can.
Well, I'm just thinking to myself, if you did all of this, I guess, in your home studio and you're putting down all the tracks, it's like,
Right.
how did you do it?
I did it with, I have a bass at home. I used drum software, tried to make the drums sound as human as possible without them sound like a drum machine. And I just recorded everything in GarageBand. And what I thought were the final takes or tracks for those songs, they were really just overly produced demos. And I didn't realize that at the time until I started recording seriously with
In
professional
Virginia.
people. And I said, man, I did not, wow, did I not know what I was doing. But it's not just so much about recording, it's, you're working with a producer who really understands the songwriting structure and how things should sound sonically.
Yeah.
From rights and lefts and what's in the forefront, what's in the background. Those are things that me as a songwriter, I don't think about, at least not when I'm writing a song, but recording is a whole different thing, and it made all the difference in the world to work with someone who has been doing this for so many years.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, this is your first album.
That's right.
So are you currently working on some new material?
We do have some exciting new material that we've been trying out here in the Peekskill area. We're about, 5 or 6 songs, right? So maybe another 4 more, we can hit a studio and start recording.
You have a little working title.
Well, it's funny you should say that because our newest song is called Empty, which we're going to, we just debuted it last Friday at the Bayou in Mount Vernon, but we're going to play it at the Beale Street Barbershop Music Festival, which is coming out September 27th. But that song is called Empty, and I took a really cool shot when I was in Portugal. I just recently did a family vacation there, and I took this really neat shot, and I put it on Instagram, and it got a lot of great hits from people. And I said, you know what? I think that might be the next album cover.
Nice.
So I kind of played around with the font and some other things, and I designed it at home, and I put it out on Facebook, and there was some buzz around that. So that could be the title. That could be. Right now, the tentative title is Empty.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now you have about 4 or 5 songs. So what's the process for you? Because you're doing all the writing yourself, right?
Right. I have a lot of songs that are already finished, or songs that never made the cut with the first album that were just never finished, or just didn't like the way it sounded or whatever.
Have you always been kind of doing music, or is this something that you just...
I've been doing music since, since I was a kid. I think everybody says that, but I learned to play guitar when I was 13, and I was in my first band, in high school, and In my 20s, I was in a couple of goth bands. So,
Okay.
you know, in the last 25, 30 years, I've been in and out of groups. But this is my first solo thing, and I really wanted to just spread my wings and write music that I think people will enjoy.
So have you worked with some people in the industry we may know, or?
No.
Should have phrased that differently. I'm like, okay.
Yes.
But you've been playing,
Steve
so.
Geller, and yeah, you know, I you know, in my 20s, a few years ago, I got to play in some very excited venues like the CBGBs with some of the bands that I played in. And I think about that. I was actually thinking about it before we were taping, how cool it was to play at a place like CB's at a time when original music was so desired in the New York area. I feel, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but I think cover bands really sort of take over the music space. At least in the suburbs they do, at least up here in Westchester they do. And it's refreshing.
I don't find that so much. I mean, especially with all of the new music that's out and everyone kind of producing their own stuff, you know?
I think Peekskill
Has
has a scene that's growing and that's supporting original artists.
Right.
And it's very unique and it's very special, and you guys should be commended for that.
Right.
For having something like that.
I'm smiling as if I can take credit for the Peekskill
Well,
music scene, but I'm glad
But
to
you
hear
know,
it.
there's this program.
Living Arts in Westchester is a part of that. You know, it's
Well, I'd like to think so. I try to interview as many people and kind of put their stuff out there, just so people can be aware of them. Because I think the stuff that is happening here is really cool.
yeah.
And and the people I've met, like just through association, like with Kevin, it's been nice too. So you do perform a lot. So tell us about some of the places that you've been performing. You mentioned the Bayou over there in Mount Vernon.
That's right. The Beale Street Music Festival is coming up on the 27th. We're going to be the headlining band. We're going to be playing at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
And music starts at 2, and there's going to be a lot of great artists that day. And Mark Sinnis, who is the brainchild behind this, I believe it's their second annual.
Yeah, no, I went to the one last year. It was nice.
Yeah.
It was really nice. Nice weather, great music, and his band is awesome too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I forget
think,
the name of it, but it's like rockabilly.
Yes, they're awesome, and I think they're going to have an Elvis impersonator with them, which
They won't let that man rest, right? not anytime soon. I love your logo, by the way. I love just
Thank you.
what's on the album, and I loved your sound. And I had an opportunity, I guess, because I drive a lot, to just listen to a lot of your music, and I really liked it a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank
I
you
really
very
liked it
much.
a lot. I know that like a lot of work goes into it, and I don't even listen to the radio, to be honest with you, and I haven't for quite some time. And that's why at any given day, you'll hear me listen to Earth, Wind & Fire or something crazy, and it's like, people are like, Jackie, when's the last time you purchased some music or, something, or get like an iPod in here?
Yeah.
I'm like, what can I tell you? So,
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to hear music and download music and stream music, and
you have to put it kind of in front of me for me to be hip to it.
right.
Yeah, because I'm kind of closed off that way. I'm not like going and buying music out in the stores. I mean, is that, or downloading a lot of stuff on iTunes.
Yeah, I'm more of just to pop a CD or my iTunes in the car. I don't listen to radio as much.
Yeah. Isn't that odd, right? How radio has become like, all you can really hear is the classics. Maybe on WHUD you get some good stuff.
Yeah.
107.1.
Yep.
It's
The
just
peak.
background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, we've been featured on some of the radio stations, like HUD you mentioned. I did an interview with them, and every Saturday, I think it's WCRS or something. I'm messing up the call letters, but it's a college station just outside of Hartford, Connecticut, that plays our music every Saturday. DJ Tree, who supports us. She plays our stuff all the time. So we're just working it, getting it out there. We started in Peekskill, and we just want to grow and take this out as far as we can.
Well, it looks like you're doing, you're off to a fantastic start.
Thank you.
And I think in some part that's due to what you do for a living.
Yes.
You're a publicist. Why
That's
don't you
right.
tell us a little bit about that?
I'm a PR dude, and I'm a freelancer, and I've been doing PR for about 18 years. 10 of those years I do it from home, which is great because not only is it great to work from home, but it also allows me to do this. I think if I was still working for the man in some corporate setting, I wouldn't have the mental capacity or the bandwidth to even think about doing something as crazy as starting a rock band.
So there was the time that you had at home to like kind of
Yeah.
became creative in that way.
It does, all that mental busyness, from being in an office and being distracted and all that other stuff, it
Kind of
really,
frees you.
it really did. All these ideas like Ebb and Flow started that way. Just all these songs were coming out, yeah. So and it's beautiful. I could be working and doing my regular day gig, and I'll have an idea, and I'll just stop that for a second, turn on my other computer and start tinkering with that for 10 or 15 minutes, and then I'll put that aside and get to it later and go back to work. I couldn't do that if I worked in a,
That's
you
true.
know, for any company in the city. Oh, excuse me, I'm going to the conference room right now to
So
work
is-
on a song. I'll be right back.
Does everybody have that kind of luxury? Are you kind of all professional?
Yeah, I'm a full timer.
Are you a full-time musician as well?
No, I work as a headhunter. And,
Oh, okay.
He
that
hunts
was-
heads.
I hunt heads. Pretty soon I'll start shrinking them.
Keep it clean.
But that was the new career that I started about 4 years ago, and took time away from music, which I was trying to do full
Full-time,
time. I was doing a lot of teaching and a lot of performing and a lot of recording, and playing with bands that you hoped would hit it, and just
Right.
getting real close and not quite making it, and then finally deciding I need a full-time job. And so for the last 4 years I've been doing that, and coming back to music has been really a blessing, because it's allowed me to decompress from those those corporate commuting to the city moments, and you
Yeah.
get to play with these guys. And I'm the baby of the group, I'm the youngster. Everybody else has such incredible experience that really it's teaching me a lot more than I thought originally that it would. So it's really been an excellent experience for me.
So tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing moving forward, like what you'd like to do with the band.
We want to play Vegas.
Really? You want to be a Vegas house
Why?
band?
Why not? We could do that.
Hey, that's not a bad
sure.
idea.
Let's go.
Call me when you get there.
We want to focus on playing the city a lot more, doing a lot more gigs that are out of state, maybe doing some traveling. I'd like 2015 to be a busier year with playing out of state
Okay.
more, and just.
So you working with an agent or someone that can make that happen for you?
We just actually just met someone recently who is going to start booking some shows for us. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it was one of those things where about a week ago I got off the phone after the 20th phone call to the same guy at the same club, and I'm not going to mention the club or the guy.
Tell me.
And I just said, it would be so much easier if someone could do this for me. And 2 days later, buddy of Steve's, and I said, do you think he could help us out? And he goes, yeah, I'll ask him. And we had a little meeting at the Bayou last week, and he's on it. So we'll see.
So what kind of place is the Bayou?
The Bayou is a restaurant in Mount Vernon on Gramerton Avenue, on the northern side, so sort of like on the Fleetwood border, and it's like Cajun food, right?
New Orleans themed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's bar, and then they have live entertainment on weekends.
So that we can catch you at the Beale Street Outdoor Festival, which I don't think this may be airing prior to that or not, but you're kind of the house band for the Peekskill Coffee Shop.
Yeah, we have a monthly residency there, and all of our shows are posted on our website, which is www.joeduraes.com.
Okay, one
And
more time for those people.
joeduraes.com. There we go.
Okay,
And
terrific.
That's JOEDURAES.com.
Okay, well, I want to thank you guys for coming. I've had a great time getting to know you a little bit, hearing your music. I was already a fan before you got here, and now I'm really a fan.
It's an honor to be
Thank
here.
you.
So I'll be running into you in our little small town, soon, I'm sure.
Great.
And for our Living Arts audience, I want to thank you for tuning in. As always, it's been a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed this. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will be back. Peace.
You came screaming down the Hudson line from the fire of New York. I was waiting on the other side.